Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakwadash. Double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom. Okay, so I want to get into a lesson starting off in 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, and the 1st verse. So Lord willing, this is an edifying lesson to the elect. So I'll go ahead, I'll get straight into it. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And how is it that we measure the time diligently in itself? By watching, okay? Seeing what's going on around the world, seeing what's going on in the news and filtering it through the scriptures, okay? That's how we measure the time diligently in itself, okay? Continuing on. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. That's right. And we see how the Lord is beginning to visit this place by way of these plagues. Okay, you see that these plagues are being sent upon this place, famine, pestilence, and sword, but we understand that these things will intensify. It'll get a lot worse heading into the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, and how else is it that the highest is beginning to visit the world which he made? By way of his prophets. Okay, you see that the Lord has his prophets out here on the highways and byways preaching the word in truth and sincerity. Okay, warning our people, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the Hebrew Israelites, of the things to come, whether you hear or forbear. Okay, and telling you nations your judgment. Okay, so we see how the Lord is beginning to visit this place. Okay, so I'll continue on. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 9 and verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, okay, and we're seeing the earthquakes that's going on throughout the earth, okay, it was a recent earthquake in Argentina, okay, it was a recent earthquake in Alaska, it was a recent earthquake in Myanmar, okay, and if you looked at the news, it was a recent 7.7 magnitude earthquake that happened in Myanmar, man. Okay, and the death toll is over 3,000, man. Okay, so we're seeing the earthquakes that's going on throughout the earth, man. Okay, so I read this from the top again. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 9 and verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, and we're seeing the earthquakes that's going on throughout the earth. Okay, and we're also seeing earthquaking events happen throughout the earth, man. Okay, continuing on. And uproars of the people in the world. That's right. It says, and uproars of the people in the world. Okay. And we're seeing the uproars of the people in the world, man. Okay. You're seeing more and more protests that's happening throughout the earth. Okay. You're seeing more and more division. You're seeing more and more people coming up against the government. Okay. So we're seeing the uproars of the people in the world. Okay. But we understand that these things will escalate heading into the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay. So I'll go ahead and I'll get what else I had. I'll get straight to the point. I'll go to 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, and I'll go to the 14th verse. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and we understand that it's drawing near. Okay, continuing on. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and we understand that this is going into civil unrest. Okay, continuing on. And swords in their hands. That's right, it says, and swords in their hands. Okay, and we understand that a sword is a killing instrument, man. Okay, and you see that a lot of these people are going to these gun stores, okay, buying these weapons, okay, loading up on their weapons, okay. A lot of these people, they're going to use these weapons heading into the time of Jacob's trouble, okay? But we know, man, during the time of Jacob's trouble, these people, they're going to be using whatever they can get their hands on, man, okay? Like I just mentioned, we know that a sword is a killing instrument, man, okay? These people, they're going to be out here, they can use a baseball bat, bottles, pipes, okay? They're going to be using it, man, okay? So we understand that it's going to be a lot of bloodshed throughout these cities, man, okay? We understand that it's going to be a lot of people that's going to be put to death during the time of Jacob's trouble, man. Okay, and like I just mentioned, man, you see a lot of these people are going to these gun stores, stockpiling on these weapons, man. Okay, and we understand that they're going to be used, man. Okay, during the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, and I'll continue on. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15 In verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men. Okay, and when you go into the word sedition on the online etymology, it goes into uprising and rebellion. Okay, and it also goes into civil disorder, man. Okay, and we understand, man, during the time of Jacob's trouble, man, it's going to be a lot of people that's going to be coming up against the government. Okay, it's going to be a lot of people in these streets, okay, destroying property. It's going to be people getting put to death out here. Okay, it's going to get extremely bad out here during the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, and we're constantly warning our people, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, which are the Hebrew Israelites, of the things to come, whether you hear or forbear. Okay, so we understand that it will be sedition among men. Okay, so I read this from the top again. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 15 and verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. That's right, it says, and invading one another. Okay, so we understand, man, it's going to be people that's going to be getting assaulted out here. Okay, it's going to get extremely bad. Okay, continuing on. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. That's right. So we understand, man, these people, they're not going to care, you know, what the governor has to say, what the mayor has to say. Okay, they're going to be doing what they want to do out here, man. Okay, continuing on. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. That's right. Like I just mentioned, these people, they're going to be doing whatever it is that they want to do out here during the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, they're not going to care what the government has to say. They're not going to care what the mayor has to say. They're not going to care what the governor has to say. They're not going to have to get something, you know, signed off for them to do what it is that they want to do, man. These people are going to be taking matters into their own hands during the time of Jacob's trouble, man. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get what else I had. All right, let me get this. 2nd Chronicles, the 36th chapter, and I'll start at the 15th verse. Okay, this is 2nd Chronicles chapter 36 and verse 15. And the Lord God of their fathers sent to them by his messengers. Okay, and we understand that the messengers are the prophets. Okay, continuing on. Rising up betimes. That's right, it says rising up betimes, meaning rising up early. Okay, and sending because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. That's right, because the Lord had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place, he sent the prophets. Okay, continuing on. This is 2nd Chronicles chapter 36 and verse 16. But they mocked the messengers of the Most High. Okay, you see that our people are still doing this during these times, man. Okay, making fun of the prophets. Okay, doing these things that's unprofitable to their salvation. Okay, continuing on. And despise his words. That's right, it says, and despise his words. Okay, and we understand that when you despise something, you look down upon it, you hate it. Okay, and we know that 2/3 of our people despise the words of the Lord. Okay, the wicked of our people, they despise the words of the Lord. Okay, so we understand that this is going to lead you to getting destroyed. Okay, and I'll continue on. And misuse his prophets. That's right, it says, and misuse his prophets. Okay, and we understand that the wicked of our people are misusing the prophets, man. Okay, they're still doing this, man. They'll rather come up on comment boards, okay, scoffing. They'll rather come up in the spirit of debating, okay, coming against us, man. Okay, speaking about what we have on, okay, doing all these things that they shouldn't be doing these things that's unprofitable to their salvation. Okay, so we're seeing how the wicked of our people are misusing the prophets, man. Okay, when they should be taking advantage of this grace period in righteousness, man. Okay, continuing on. Until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people till there was no remedy. That's right. So the ones of you that want to continue to be in the spirit of mocking the prophets, okay, mocking the messengers of the Most High, okay, despising the words of the Lord, okay, misusing the prophets, okay, doing these things that you shouldn't be doing, we understand that ultimately this is going to lead you to getting destroyed, man. Okay, and we already know 2/3 of our people will be cut off here in America, which is Babylon the Great, pursuant to Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 8. But we know that the elect will be delivered. Okay, the elect will be able to see the nuclear destruction of America, which is Babylon the Great, from the chariot, okay? But we know before this place is destroyed, we know that the RFID CHIP, which is the MOTB, has to be made mandatory, and it will be made mandatory. You won't be able to buy or sell without taking that CHIP, okay? But if you take it, you will be destroyed, okay? We're constantly warning our people, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the Hebrew Israelites, to not take the CHIP, which is the MOTB, okay? So with that said, Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson to the elect, and I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom.